It was such a tremendous game all the way through. For it to end on the note that it ended on, it does sort of put it into perspective just how much further it goes than points on the scoreboard when you have this human element, and we certainly are sending our very best to Wesley Gover because it's a scary scene any time something like that happens, and I think both teams understand the magnitude of it.
And Christina is down on the sideline, down on the field with head coach Mark Freeman.
Coach, I don't know what you can tell us about Wesley. Coach, you guys found a way to win. Your defense got it done for you in the second half. What do you want to say about this team win here tonight?
It's just, I think we had 30 snaps on offense. I think we scored 3 defensive touchdowns. Probably the most unusual game I've ever been around, but it starts with us coming on the field not ready to play. And, I'm going to take blame for that. We would bet our life onside kick was coming. We practiced it yesterday and Wednesday and Tuesday. We have to learn to have instincts about football. We have to know the rules of football, what's going to happen. We got a lot of guys that have not played, and these games right here, we're blessed to get out here with a win. Defense had 3 turnovers. We took 3 touchdowns, but I think we had 30 offensive snaps. So, how many games you can win like that? And then we had a good drive going. Our defense was tired second quarter. They kept the ball, did a great job. Robbie and them did a great job doing what they do. And we're trying to sustain a drive. I think we're going to a 12-play drive, and then ball goes up on our kid's shoulder pass. So, I'm telling you, we're not really. We got a long way to go to be a good football team. We're decent, but the standards that we got here is not to be decent. And we work and they come to practice every day. We just got to find ways to get better. And we got to grow up in spots. We don't have experienced players in every spot right now, and that's what high school football is growing up, learning how to play. But you have to come here with instincts. And when people tell you, hey, onside kick's coming, you have to instinctively expect an onside kick and just other things. But happy for a win. It's a region win. That win will be huge at the end of the year. It's 3-0, I think, in the region. And get ready. Got a good game coming up next week. We got all kind of kids banged up and hurt, so we need to go back and get better and find out what we can do to get off the field on defense and just play football.
Coach, on behalf of the Warrior Nation Network, we're praying for Wesley and y'all right now.
Thank y'all very much.
Christina, thank you. It's great to see both teams down on one knee offering up a prayer for Wesley Gover. Final score, 38-17. We will take a quick break, and we will come back with our Warrior postgame show with Tim Melton. You're listening to Warrior Football on the Warrior Nation Network.
At Southeastern Pond Management, our experienced team treats pond management like an art as well as a science. From stocking to electrofishing to weed control and liming, we're here to partner with you and make the most of your property. Since our beginning, we have produced healthy ponds that families have enjoyed for generations. We take pride in getting to know you, understanding your goals, and maximizing your pond's potential. Because, let's be honest, when it is all said and done, life is about the simple things, like enjoying the outdoors with the ones that matter the most. So let us take care of the rest. Southeastern Pond Management, managing your liquid assets since 1989.
We welcome you in here to the Warrior Nation Network postgame show presented by Wendy's, Abide Roofing, and Central Alabama Asphalt. There's no doubt that the temperature of this game has changed towards the end. It was a very competitive contest there in the first half of play especially, and then it was all Warriors there in the second half. And unfortunately, once again, an injury to Wesley Gover, cutting this one short and definitely changing sort of the morale that we have felt here within the stadium. You can feel it coming through your screens, and we definitely feel it here. I want to commend Christina Chambers for that post-game interview with head coach Mark Freeman. If we look at the game itself, John, it starts with exactly what Coach Freeman is still talking about here, even though the clock is at 0, and that is the very first play of tonight's game, which was an onside kick that you can tell he's beat up, that his team did not fully prepare for, in the sense that it was executed properly, but they had practiced it all week long, and the surprise somehow still caught him off guard.
Yeah, he mentioned it multiple times. I firmly believe they knew it was coming, and that's just the kind of thing that it's the kind of play you don't want to line up in a formation where you're set to accept the onside kick. You don't put the hands team out there on the very first play of the game. So I understand how it's kind of a tough situation there, and I know he's frustrated with it. And it got things off on the wrong foot because they instantly drove right down the field in a fairly short field, because you kick it off in the 40, you get it just inside the 50, you don't even have to go half the field, and they score and go up 7-0. Then a 3-and-out makes it 10-0 after a field goal from Vestavia, and it just kind of put Thompson behind the 8 ball. And even though they took the lead for a quick second in the first half, just was not overall a good half, except for the defense kind of stepping up towards the end, getting a defensive score, giving Thompson good field position with a turnover. I don't know what the turnovers were tonight, but that's really what made the difference overall, was just the fact that they kept getting the ball in Thompson's hand. And he said only 30 offensive plays. It went in Thompson's hand, and the defense would just score, and then to go right back out there. And then the defense would just score and come right back out there. I mean, you'll take the points any way you can get them, but I know why he's frustrated with both the special teams and the offensive play.
Yeah, we talk about those turnovers. I remember very clearly telling Matthew Moyer that there's one thing I don't like about his play calling, and that is that I can tell he's wanting to talk interception. I can tell he's wanting to make the call, and then next thing I know, the ball is on the ground and the defense loses an opportunity. That was not the case tonight. I think I'm going to take credit for it. I'm going to say I spoke it into existence, Matthew, because not only were the interceptions there, but they were taken back for 6 as well.
Yes. We started with number 4, Jared Smith, with a beautiful pick 6. He read that screen pass perfectly, ran it right back. Anquan ripped one out, ran it all the way back, and then we end up with Micah Fleming with a beautiful pick 6. And, really the defense is the difference in the game. I've really been looking forward to some of those calls. So, Tim, I certainly do appreciate it, sir.
John Lunsford, I think that's a perfect segue into our player of the game, presented by HCR Cabinets. HCR Cabinets and Countertops is a proud supporter of the Thompson Warriors. Tonight's HCR Cabinets player of the game is?
You got to go number 0, Anquan Fagans, being our player of the game. He had, even though there were multiple pick 6s, there was a basically rip and return for Fagans. It wasn't a fumble. He literally just went and ripped it out of the quarterback's hand.
Maybe the play of the season?
Probably the play of the season based on where the game was at that point. Vestavia was moving down the field. They were about to score, and just an incredible play to not only turn the ball back over in Thompson's favor, but also put 6 on the board, which then opened up a little bit of breathing room for Thompson, and there were going to be no more points coming. And also on the offensive side of the ball as well. Obviously, defense is where he makes his, where he spends most of his time. On offense, he had one play that I feel like will just kind of be forgotten about, but when he comes in on offense, he's one of those guys that you think he's going to be a huge downfield threat, because when he is typically making a play on defense, it is way down the field typically. We saw it against, the best of the best, like Cam Coleman last year. He's down the field making interceptions on those great players. When he comes in on offense now and plays receiver, he fakes like he's going to go all the way into the end zone to try to get basically a fade route, essentially, almost like a 20-yard fade route to the back corner of the end zone. Vestavia brings the safety over. They bring multiple people over saying, Anquan Fagans is about to catch the ball. We got to stop him. Multiple people over there. They all go instantly to the end zone. He stops about 10 yards down the field, says, I'm good right here, catches it, gets a pivotal first down to put Thompson at 1st and goal. I mean, it's little things like that that really make Anquan such a special player.
There we go. Congratulations on being the HCR Cabinets and Countertops player of the game. HCR Cabinets and Countertops is Birmingham's cabinetry and countertop specialist, specializing in prefabricated, semi-custom, and custom cabinetry. Visit their showroom today. They specialize in design for new construction, home remodels, commercial, and residential properties in Birmingham and Central Alabama. Call them to schedule your free in-home consultation and design at 205-669-9550. We did have some moments of athletic excellence tonight on display, definitely making some of your highlight reel for sure, Matthew Moyer, because you had some electric plays tonight in a game that was very entertaining throughout the duration of this contest, especially when both teams were very competitive there in the first half. Let's talk a little bit about maybe what changed things when it comes to the momentum of this game in the second half, because I do honestly believe Vestavia, they lost their polish in the second half. They lost their ability to stay composed. There were a lot of penalties there in the second half on Vestavia, including unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yes, you're exactly right. Perfect example is R.J. Evans runs out of bounds, and we were going to have a pretty critical play coming up next, working our way down toward the red zone, and then a guy hits him out of bounds. He was a good 2 yards out of bounds. All of a sudden, it's a 15-yard penalty, and we've got it first down at the 16-yard line, and it moved us right down into the red zone. Our defense really set the stage for the second half. I know John talked about it just a moment ago, but they came out and were the difference. What I thought was interesting is I thought Taft had played a pretty good game, and all of a sudden they bring in LeMaster, and we never saw him again, and it seemed like although LeMaster did a pretty decent job and had him down here in scoring position until Anquan ripped that ball away from him, I was very confused. Unless that was just pre-planned, they had that going into the game plan. There was no doubt about it. He was going to play a little bit of the second half, and then they were going to switch to LeMaster. But you're exactly right, Tim. That polish kind of came off of that Rebel squad there in the second half.
Executing trickery, John, is one thing, and Vestavia did that well right out of the gate. But when it came time to really put the pedal to the metal, they came up very short there in the second half, giving up 24 unanswered to the Thompson Warriors.
And there were some play calls there. I feel like once Thompson got a couple of those defensive scores, Vestavia entered a situation where they had to change their offense a little bit, and then you had a really questionable pass play after a decent drive where they throw the ball. It's ill-advised. It turns into an interception. I think Anquan got that one too. And it totally was kind of a head-scratcher for Vestavia. And then they switched to running the ball again, and they moved the ball so well running the ball, and they kind of got away from that a couple of times. And, I know you have to change things based on the situation within the game, but once they got away from that, Thompson had them done, basically, and they were able to just control everything.
The Thompson Warriors with a dominant second half for sure, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Defense has been a strength for this team all year long. If you're hungry after the game, stop by Wendy's on Kent Dairy Road for a late-night snack. Our favorite are the new Spicy Nugs. Get them in one of 4 bold flavors: ghost pepper, buffalo, garlic parm, and honey barbecue. They're drippy, they're yummy, they're all the things. This is the Warrior Nation Network postgame show presented by Wendy's, Abide Roofing, and Central Alabama Asphalt. We will return with more postgame coverage straight ahead.
Late night decisions aren't my strength.
I could do another episode.
I should check out that noise coming from the woods.
Let's get tattoos!
But one call that never fails is Wendy's, where every burger starts with fresh beef. Unlike my ankle dolphin, I never regret a Baconator. Have a good bite. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's late night.
Hours may vary. Fresh beef available in contiguous North America.
The Thompson Warriors know that to ride in style, you must have a clean ride. That's why the Warriors use Mark I Car Wash, home of the Unlimited Wash Club. Wash your car every day for one low monthly price. Mark I has 7 convenient locations to help you save money and drive clean. Great supporters of the Thompson Warriors, stop by Mark I Car Wash today.
Welcome back in to the Warrior Nation Network postgame show presented by Wendy's, Abide Roofing, and Central Alabama Asphalt. Final score, Thompson 38, Vestavia Hills 17. And what a dominant second half it was, especially on the defensive side of the ball, resulting in so many points here for the Thompson Warriors. One name, John, hasn't been mentioned a ton, but was mentioned a lot tonight, was that of Jared Smith. Can you talk about his play?
So he had a pick six. Really was the first time we called his name. He had a big pick six early on to start the scoring for Thompson and get him in the lead, and really, that defensive play and then the defensive series after led to Thompson getting up really quickly 14-10 and then kind of disappeared again. A lot of what they were doing was trying to go away from him, and I can't remember the player's name, but Vestavia had a player very much like him a couple of years ago, ended up going to Tennessee, that Thompson kind of had to do the same thing. You try to pretty much run away from him as much as possible, and Jared Smith's the kind of guy that if you're going to try to run the ball, you run away from wherever he is in the field, but if you're passing the ball, he's coming for you, and he did a great job pursuing the quarterback tonight. He did a great job with that pick six and did a great job reading screen passes, multiple screen passes tonight. He was smart enough to realize that guy just let me go. I probably should stop and look for a screen pass, and ended up with a pick six on one of them.
And Matthew, while we didn't see the offense maybe as much as we wanted tonight, and it was for good reason because the defense kept doing the scoring there in the second half, we did see a lot of Michael Dujon, and we did see a lot of R.J. Evans as a committee there in the backfield that's putting up some big numbers this year.
Both of those guys were really good again tonight, and it's got to be a great feeling for that coaching staff to know that you've got two guys that you can rely on. They have just been fantastic through these first few games. And moving forward, Coach Freeman talked in that post-game interview with Christina Chambers about growing. Those are two guys that he can absolutely rely on and have confidence in and feel very good about his running game.
We want to remind you that at Abide Roofing, they understand that your home is your most valuable asset, and they're committed to protecting it with top-quality roofing solutions. Whether you need roof repairs, replacements, or installations, their team of experienced professionals delivers exceptional service and lasting results. John, we've talked a lot about this one, a 38-17 win for the Thompson Warriors here on the road at Vestavia Hills. And thankfully, it's not a wet result, which is what we've experienced the past 2 weeks. One game being on the road in the region, one game being at home here in the region. Let's talk a little bit about the scoreboard and what other games are happening around our area that are worth mentioning.
So Hewitt-Trussville, Hillcrest is a game that I know a lot of people are keeping an eye on. Hewitt after struggling against Vestavia and then losing by a point to Hoover last week. That game currently, Hewitt-Trussville is up 37-16 over Hillcrest, and Hillcrest was a team I thought might challenge for the playoffs, but haven't quite been able to get that done. Oak Mountain and Tuscaloosa County is 42-35. I assume that is Oak Mountain on top with 48 seconds left in that one. So Oak Mountain trying to get their first region win after both these teams falling to Thompson the last 2 weeks. And then Hoover taking on Prattville is the other big game. Hoover all over Prattville tonight, 40-6. Seems like Hoover's kind of sort of finding themselves after a tumultuous offseason, and they get a big win, 40-6 to head to the break up 3-0 in region play. So Thompson and Hoover both atop the standings right now because Hewitt took that loss last week. And, Vestavia right now, I know they're 1-4 and only 1-2 in region play, but still a team down the line. And I know Hoover, they have that Hoover game circled, a big rival there, really the only major rival they have left on their schedule after dropping Homewood and Mountain Brook that they played every single year of those two's existence. That's a big one that could potentially lead to either one of those potentially, moving into even a top 2 spot, depending on how the rest of the season goes. They're at Prattville after a break next week. Then they get Oak Mountain, Tuscaloosa County. If they're able to win those two, that at Hoover is going to be a huge, huge game coming up.
Matthew, it is important to note this is the Thompson Warrior squad this year that's never trailed after 4 quarters of play all year long. They do have a loss on the season.
Correct.
But it was in overtime on a 2-point conversion when the other team potentially didn't have a lot of faith in their kicker. And they are undefeated right now in region play. This is a team that has found more and more confidence week after week, and that's not hyperbole. That is something that I'm seeing, and I'm sure that's something that you're seeing from your vantage point as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Mark mentioned in the post-game interview that there's some things that they need to grow, and there's no doubt about it. But each week that you can see it on the field, they're getting better and better and better. The defense is really coming together, and they proved that tonight. Number 1, pitched a shutout in the second half. Number 2, scored 3 times tonight. You can't ask for a whole lot more from a defense and they are playing very, very well. So, yes, you're exactly right. It's really coming together, and it was evident here through week 5.
Absolutely. We'll be back to wrap up the Warrior Nation Network postgame show presented by Wendy's, Abide Roofing, and Central Alabama Asphalt.
This is Travis Lloyd with Abide Roofing. We offer comprehensive residential and commercial roofing solutions. Our expert team delivers top quality workmanship using the best materials to ensure your roof provides lasting protection and aesthetic appeal. We're proud to partner with Thompson Athletics. Go Warriors!
At Dunn's HVAC Plumbing and Electrical, we know how hard it is to find a dependable company you can trust. The time-consuming effort can be frustrating and overwhelming. We believe what matters is getting back to what's important to you. Dunn's HVAC Plumbing and Electrical is built upon honesty, integrity, and also trust. We are your local choice for all your HVAC plumbing and electrical needs, serving Calhoun, Jefferson, Shelby, and surrounding areas. Visit our website at callduns.com to schedule your appointment for dependable service done right.
Final few moments here of the Warrior Nation Network postgame show presented by Wendy's, Abide Roofing, and Central Alabama Asphalt. And it was another double-digit victory for your Thompson Warriors as they win with a final score of 38-17. I'm not going to be picky. I would have liked potentially to get back up into the 40s yet again to make it 3 straight weeks of that. But I'm pretty happy with the result, considering, John, it was 17-14 at half with Vestavia having the lead. You know there are other region foes that are seeing that scoreboard that are going, oh, is an upset brewing? It certainly ended up not being an upset by the end of this one as Vestavia was shut out in the second half of play.
You just saw the highlight with Anquan Fagans ripping that ball out, going the other way, and a big play from Jared Smith right there. Really the defense kind of figured things out because outside of a couple of drives, the one Jared Smith pick six that really was only about 15, 20 yards because he read the screen pass right. Then another defensive stop. Vestavia could not be stopped in the first half and ultimately led to 3 scores from them, field goal and 2 touchdowns. And, you know, it ultimately turned into a pretty good defensive game overall in the second half, and the offense clicked a little bit when they actually were on the field because they were hardly on the field in the second half. But, you know, halftime adjustments have been really, really good for Thompson. I think you saw in the Grayson game a drive down the field and score, and they were able to kind of move at will even though they didn't score again. You know, able to play really solid defense after some halftime adjustments. Same with Lipscomb Academy, and then same, you really need halftime adjustments the last couple of weeks, but you definitely did this week. And I think, you know, Coach Freeman, you can hear when he talks to Christina, this is what he's about to go fix, and almost every time he has gone in there and done just that.
I'm not trying to take any sort of shots, Matthew, at the Oak Mountain crowd or the Tuscaloosa County crowd, but it felt different in the stadium tonight. It felt like this Vestavia crowd really believed that they could possibly pull off the upset, especially early on. I mean, there was so much momentum there early for Vestavia, and they were a team that was putting on the points there in that first quarter. There were some important answers, but I think it's also equally as important that Thompson answered the call when they were down early, and they showed that resolve, and then they ended up taking control clearly in the second half. But early on, they were tested here on the road against a region opponent that's hungry to finally get back in the win column against this squad out of Alabaster.
Yep, you're exactly right. We talked about it in the pregame show. Last 5 contests between these two coming into tonight, Thompson had outscored them 159-50. It was senior night here tonight. They've got a beautiful facility. The energy was up. They got that onside kick, and it really brought the energy up. And then to score as quickly as they did, they go into halftime with the lead. The energy stayed very high, and it was very important for the Warriors to come out in the second half and steal that energy away, and they certainly did.
John, when you're working as a player in the off season, whether it be the spring or the summer, you dream of a night like tonight where the stage is set, where you have a early lead over a defending region champ. Vestavia, though, not able to capitalize on that early momentum. What word would you use to describe tonight's game, and what will be remembered the most from tonight's event where Vestavia wasn't able to capitalize on that early lead that they established?
I think the determination was a little there. They're a little bit better for Thompson. When they got down, they didn't give up. The defense really, dug their fingers into the rubberless turf out there and, did everything they could to keep Vestavia from putting more points on the board. Slipping around didn't stop them. So some big chunk runs for Vestavia didn't stop them. The determination was there, especially in the second half, to come out and play Thompson brand of football and put some points on the board and win.
Does your blacktop need freshening up? Need new asphalt poured? Central Alabama Asphalt and Construction Company, LLC, specializes in blacktop work, offering top-notch services tailored to meet the needs of their customers. Give them a call at 205-349-0910. Who knows? Maybe Central Alabama Asphalt has some rubber pellets that they can lay down here at Vestavia. That could help the argument for sure. All right, Matthew, this was another big win for Thompson, and
Yes,
all
sir.
attention now shifts to 1 week from now, where Thompson is going to have a chance at redemption.
Our second to last road game. And yes, you're exactly right. All things point toward next Friday night. Clay Chalkville comes in. We certainly want to redeem ourselves from last year. We've got a week to get ourselves ready, to get ourselves healthy. Let's see what we can do.
Absolutely. John, what are you looking most forward to in that contest?
Revenge for losing last year to Clay Chalkville. Look, that was an incredible team last year. The number one team in the state by far, I think. The number 1 and 2 teams, I think, in the state last year were Saraland and Clay Chalkville out of 6A. You don't typically see that. Typically, Thompson or Central or whoever is going to, or Hoover or whoever's at the top of 7A is the top team. But they were the top team last year, and Thompson took them to the wire, still played them very, very well, and I know they want revenge. Different coach, different quarterback. That's the biggest factor. Is they have played incredible this season, but also a little bit of an easier schedule, but they have an off week. So there's a lot going into this game, a lot riding on this game, even though it doesn't count towards region standings. If it does ever come to a tiebreaker, getting a big win over Clay Chalkville would be huge.
100%. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Once again, a final score of 38-17 in favor of the Warriors. All of our prayers going to Wesley Gover and his family. Once again, a way that nobody here in the stands wanted the game to end, but a very respectful gesture there from Vestavia and the hometown crowd, and we appreciate that as the Traveling Warriors. For Matthew Moyer, for John Lunsford, for our entire crew, I'm Tim Melton signing off right here on the Warrior Nation Network.